Hey guys, this is Robin from RS Island Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how I add elastic to the cuffs of my hand knit socks. When I first started knitting socks, I didn't have all my numbers quite right, and some of them, they're a little bit too loose up here. So what I want to do is I want to tighten them up. And also, when I first started learning to knit socks, I was doing the knit 2 purl 2, and a lot of times that's just not a tight enough. Here's a knit 2 purl 2. Still have to weave in the ends, but it's a loosey goosey up here. So even though these are shorty socks, I don't like them to be constantly falling down. So I'm going to show you how I tighten them up. So what you're going to need for supplies is a beautiful pair of hand knit socks. And some of this, I got some Gutermann elastic thread. And then you're going to need, see my neat little sewing kit. This has a nice pair of sharp scissors and a spot for my needles. Now the needles I use is the same one that I use to weave in the ends of my socks. If you could see, it doesn't have very sharp of a tip, because if you use a sharp sewing needle, what you're going to end up doing is splitting your yarn, and while that's not a big problem, it's just not the best way to do things. So first we're going to decide how much elastic we're going to need, and depending on how tall you knit your cuff, these are a little bit shorter. These, you could see, I knit these a little bit taller. And you're going to determine how many rounds of elastic on the inside you're going to need. I already did one sock, and on these shorties, I only did 3 rows of elastic. So, if you don't pull out enough elastic to start with, you can always add more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because this is 1. This would be 2. So just cut your thread or your elastic thread. And now, when you're using thread, this is the end that came off of the spool. If we thread our needle on this end, it'll be less likely for our thread or our elastic to get all knotted up and kinked. If we start with this end, it's going backwards on the spool, and because of the way the thread and the elastic is spun, I'm not sure if it's the same with elastic, but with thread, it's spun a certain way, and if you go against it, you're going to tend to cause more knots. And the way I thread my needle is I take my thread, elastic, I fold it over the top. Let's see. I pinch this, pinch the 2 threads, the 2 pieces. You see how you can barely see it in your fingers? Take your eye or the needle, just kind of wiggle it down between your fingers and pull it through. Alright, so now this is the goal that we're going to be going for. We're going to have the 3 rounds of elastic. See how it gives it much more stretch than what we have here. This is all loose. So turn your sock inside out. You could tell these are my favorite socks. I wear these a lot. See my little trash can? My little pretty pony with some purple. Oh, those are fun. So I like to start somewhere along by the heel on the side, but it really doesn't matter. Take your elastic, and what I'm looking for is I'm looking for about 1 or 2 down below from this is your bind off edge up here. So you want to make it easy to get. So you see where that is right there? So what we're going to go through is we're going to go through just the first leg of the stitch, because each stitch, this is a purl stitch on this side, but a knit stitch on this side. So we're going to just go through one leg of what looks like a purl on this side. And I leave a decent size, I leave a decent sized tail. And what you're going to do now is you're just going to follow and pick up the first leg. Make sure you guys can see this. You see this first leg right here? You pick up the first leg of each one around. Round and round she goes, where she stops. When you have what feels like a comfortable amount on your needle, just go ahead and pull it through. If you pull it through too hard, remember, we did not descend or anything. It's just kind of hanging here. Pull a little extra if you want. I'm going to knot this end with the round when I get back to it. If you want, you can either clip it on or go ahead and knot it right here so you don't have to worry about it pulling through. But I like to live a little dangerously. So. Okay, as we're getting back around to this side, what we'll be doing is I'm going to take this is my last one right there. Whoop. We get back around, this is my last stitch right here, and this is where we started the new round, the first beginning of the round. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back through here. And I'm going to go ahead and knot just a simple little, what do they call it, the surgeon's knot. And what you do is you go around once, like you would if you're tying your shoes, and then go around once more, and that's going to help lock. It's a little hard with elastic. It's going to help lock that stitch in. Okay, one more. Alright, and then what I did with this round is, this first one, I keep it just a little bit tight. I don't want this one too snug. Now my next round, I will make it a little bit tighter. So what I do is, there's the next one. You can either go down to skip one and do the second, or you can go down and do the third. On my other sock, I skipped and went to the second, so we'll do that again here. Now, the reason we are going through just the first leg is it's easier to get to the first leg than the second. If you go through both of them, you have a better chance of seeing your elastic on the other side. Well, we'll just go round and round again. It's, what you feel is if you mess up and you go one round up or one round down, it's really not going to matter. These are your socks. You love them enough to fix them so that you can keep wearing them. Nobody's going to see it on the inside, so it's not necessarily a crisis. I have not seen, when I was looking for this elastic thread, I just believe I got this from Amazon. Elastic thread was fine. I didn't mind that it was white. I believe there's a clear thread that you can purchase that you can knit with, hold double with your yarn as you're knitting it. So you'll be knitting the elastic right into the sock as you're doing it. These are already done, so I wasn't concerned about that. Now, okay, so we're back around. And what you want to do is you don't want to have this super tight, because then you're going to go from a loose sock that falls down to a tight sock that doesn't fit. But I like to give it just a little bit of a snug. See how it pulls it in a little bit? You're no longer flopping around here. You've already got some nice tension on it. So if you wanted to, you could stop at 2, but I like the extra security of a third round. So I come back into the first leg of the stitch of this second round, pull it through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through this loop, and that's going to create a little knot to hold it in place, and that'll allow me to drop down to the next round without having to worry too much about it. Now, one of the things, as you're going through these legs, you'll be able to feel like these are really loose and easy to get into. If you feel that you're kind of fighting it, you've probably gone down a little too far, and maybe you've picked up into this extra stitch here or something, because this stitch goes up through here and back down. So you want to kind of stay towards the top here, and it'll just go in easier that way. Round and round we go again. Now I know there is black elastic also that you can purchase. So you can purchase the black elastic if you'd like for dark socks, and white elastic for white socks. But as you can see, you're not going to see it on the other side. So my preference, I don't have a preference. It's just, this is what I found. I liked the price. It was easy to buy. Amazon Prime showed up in my house a couple days later. Life is good. Okay, got myself tangled here a little. As you're working, the elastic will tend to come undone. Trim it off, put it in your little trash can. Keep on going. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. This is a good project to do while sitting around watching podcasts or movies, chatting, because you really don't have to pay that much attention to what you're doing. It's not like you're gonna miscount or something. If you skip one, I mean, you'll see it, and it's not like it's gonna be a crisis, you know. Just pull it back out, fold it over the needle, pinch it, slide your eye through, and pull it. That trick works great for sewing thread, embroidery thread, elastic. I use it for my yarn when I need to weave in ends. Okay. So once again, we're back to the beginning. Give it a little snug pull. If you want, you can snug it up as you're going. Make sure you're not scrunched up tight, and make sure you're not too loose. And this time we're going to finish it off. Done my 3 rounds. I'm happy with the tightness. I go through the first stitch of the round, the first leg. I go up through that elastic, pull it through. Before it gets completely, I pull it through a second time. And that'll give you a nice secure knot. And then what I do with this is I just weave it back down through and hide the end. And there's that one. Careful you don't snip your socks, because after all that hard work, you would not want to have that problem. Rethread the needle. What I'm going to do is I'll put links down below to where I purchased these items, the thread, and if you're someone who knows how to sew, I will post a link to the pattern for this little sewing kit. You have the little thing to keep your needles in. You have a spot for your scissors. I keep my thimble. I like the nice leather thimble. And I keep a spool of thread in there. You could put something in here also. Probably put the thread in there. Ah, timber. These make really great gifts. I won this from the Supermom No Cape blog. She made me this with a matching pincushion, which I have somewhere. Okay. Crazy Robin. All right. Trim all your ends. Turn your sock back around. And marvel at your awesomeness. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer anything or show you more if you need to. Pesky ends. Sometimes my ends work their way out with washing. See? Now I have a nice pair of socks that if it ever gets cold here in Florida, considering we're having another 80-degree day, I will have them to wear. And I have, this is my first year knitting socks, so I've been kind of testing out different sizes and needles to see which ones are going to work for me. So these are my different socks. These I haven't even woven in the ends yet because I know they need elastic in the top. And this is my official, I think I've got all my numbers right. This is the sock that's going to work for me. So, happy knitting, happy fixing, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.